Hey, everybody. Welcome to another installment of 3 Days to Close, the podcast where leading realtors share their stories and strategies for success. I'm your host, Tim Schultz. I'm the co-owner and lead photographer at Bright House Photo. I have my co-host with me, Max Schultz from the Garden State. How you doing, Max?
Garden State, but unwillingly. I was dragged here by my lovely wife. She's a
Yeah,
native.
the state of Bruce Springsteen. Listen, Max, we got a great guest on today. I'm really excited. He's been a friend of Bright Houses for at least 6 years. Vince Vesci from the Melissa Healy Group in Doylestown. Thanks for being here, Vince. How are you?
I'm doing great, Tim and Max. And Tim, thanks for having us today. We appreciate that, and we're grateful to be here.
Good, 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 good. You know, this podcast, the title is 3 Days to Close. You know, we actually have a strategy around this, and we're asking realtors that we really believe have a process, and the process to close a house in 3 days. I mean, it can be done in 3 days, but you know, it's important to have the price, preparation, promotion, and then present the offers. So that's the reason why we're doing this podcast, and we believe you and your group, especially the Healy Group, really put this together. Well, I mean, you can sell houses. So I want to know a little bit about you, how you got to where you are at right now, as far as in the business, and you know, just how'd you get here?
I love that question because I ask co-ops a lot how they got into real estate because no one generally goes through college with a real estate degree.
Yeah.
And we come from different backgrounds with the skill set. In short, I had a family closet, custom closet company, met builders through that, 5 county area, Delaware Valley. And then I decided in '06 to get into commercial real estate. Um, Learned a lot there on multifamily. Then got an opportunity about a year and a half later, because as we know, '07, '08 hit. Then I
Right.
went on to new construction, worked for NV Homes, one of the nation's largest builders. Got a great training, great skill set, understood land development, how to build homes, the construction, and how to sell at the
Hmm.
model level. Then in 2013, I met my wife, Melissa Healy,
Hmm. Yep.
and we decided to put our business together in the start of 2014, 2015. So I left and got into resale. So
Okay.
it's kind of a couple layers: commercial, then new construction, and then over the resale side.
Yep.
And since that point, we started growing the team out, and here we are today.
And you know, the team. I just want to get right to it. Okay, the team that you have is so impressive to me, um, because you have a group of people pulling in the same direction. Was that organically formulated, or did you and Missy kind of have an idea of what you wanted to do as far as a group? Because you work really well together.
I think, excellence comes with preparation, right? And great systems. Melissa has a great systems and marketing operations background. I do not. Sales is kind of what I enjoy to do more than anything, and talking to people and scripts and practicing and hunting. But the team approach, Keller Williams really pushes, and other brokers too, but Keller Williams really teaches how to have that team approach for leverage, kind of stay in your lane, have a skill set, and be great at it.
Right.
Um, Tim, I know you don't do everything in your business because you have other things to do, because you have a skill set and you're good at what you do.
Yep.
Like a doctor doesn't make the appointment and do the surgery as well as the follow-up phone call. So that team approach, we felt, let's put people into lanes, find talent, find
Mhm.
great admin to support us, and then surround ourselves with great vendors like yourself to make
Oh,
that
thank
whole
you.
thing kind of come together. Well, without Bright House and guys like you and other people that make the whole cog keep moving. And then we have failed forward as well. We've had different people in different places. We've learned, we've stumbled, we've grown, we've succeeded, but we're always trying to make it better. And for one reason and one reason only: the client experience.
Yeah.
This is a humility business, the humbling business. It's all for the client. And the word "I" we try to keep out of our vocabulary as much as we can, because it's not about our experience, about theirs.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
I'm in tech sales if I haven't said that on this podcast before. So Like there's two things you said that I think are really interesting. It's one, sales can be this zero sum game. So as you get more people involved, there can be a lot of finger pointing, and the way in which you kind of avoid that is, trust. And I don't know your experience of salespeople. It can be tough because it does feel very personal. It's very personal for you. It's very personal for, the client that you're working with. It can be this place where failure, I think it's the Winston Churchill quote. It's like failure is not fatal, right? And success isn't final, right?
Right.
So like failure not being fatal becomes really challenging when you're like, oh man, this is, especially it's like, challenging markets or even like, growing markets. We want to make sure we're able to kind of like optimize for those clients and their experience and kind of keep that front and center.
Agreed.
Yep.
It's our life, and failure isn't an option for us. And I think if this was easy, we'd have 18 million realtors nationwide in business, like any industry. And we're passionate about it. We sweat with our clients. Our staff sweats with our clients because we know what that is from start to finish. So as you said, you breathe it, you live it, you experience it, and you want to be the best, have the best for them, I should say. So
Yeah. Yeah. So we are experiencing a changing market. Let's go back a year ago. And COVID was over, or relatively over. Pricing came up, inventory was still pretty high, and then interest rate action has changed our market. So give us just kind of your overview in general of the market here in Bucks, Montgomery County, and where do you see it going in the next 6-12 months?
I like you said Bucks and Montgomery counties. We get asked all the time, how's the housing market? How are things going? And we read a lot of stuff online, and that's the nation. Bucks and Montgomery County is not the nation. It's a very, very small submarket.
Yep.
And I can't really comment on the housing market except for what I know in our submarket. And Tim, to kind of go through that question a little bit more was, we look at 50 years, we look at rates. I'm 52, bought my first home at 6.25. I thought that's what the rates are. Plow forward. I have no benchmark. We can look at people that bought in the 80s and in the 90s and the 2000s. These last 12 years were fantastic. And we kept saying it's going to end, it's going to end, it's going to change. It's changed.
Yeah.
But we threw in a little COVID of 3 unicorn years that were just unbelievable. So that even changed everything as well. But we still knew that wasn't going to be forever. That 3.25. I heard people complaining, oh my gosh, I'm at 4. I want to get in 3s, So I think if we were a little more educated for the last few years on what rates were, that would have helped some of the expectations for January of 2023.
Yeah.
It's right when I started looking for a house, by the way. Is I ended up buying in May, but like my whole reason for being, I get to represent like kind of the new buyer side.
Okay.
But like that was the thing. Like we were seeing rates last year. Like we could have bought last year, maybe. Like it would have been a little tighter. But we're like, well, rates can't go past 5, right? They would never do that. But because we were so uneducated on what the historical rates were,
Yeah.
we ended up totally blindsided by this past year's worth of rate hikes.
Yeah.
Well, if we knew what rates were going to be, I wouldn't be sitting here on this podcast. I'd be on a boat somewhere in the Caribbean. But I think to your point, and Max, I'll ask you this question is, so why did you move?
I needed a house. Time to grow up. Gotta have my dad, when we were looking, we were like, you gotta have somewhere to live. Like that's not going to change.
Right.
Right. We were renting, felt like we weren't building equity, felt like we wanted to figure out where we were going to be permanently. There was this sense of like, almost like graduation. We got married. Like we were on to the next step. We had stable jobs.
Yeah. Yeah.
And you bought.
We bought.
Yeah. You know what, Vince? I just want to catch you on what you said. You got to have a historical perspective, because I think when I bought my first house in Philadelphia, in Olney of Philadelphia, I think we got a sweet rate of 10%. And this is probably 92, 93. And we thought 10% was great, because I remember in the 70s, in the late 80s, I mean, they were up like 16, 17%. That's what I remembered historically. So I agree. I mean, you got to look at it historically. And at 7-8%, that's still pretty good, I guess, when
based on your history,
Yeah.
I'll go to Max's point too, and to parlay on what you said. Gary Keller had his family reunion, but he came out with and I'm not sure if this is something he created or was from before, but there's 5 Ds in life, and I'm going to take you through the life cycle. It's basically diapers, it's diamonds, getting married, it's potentially diplomas, college, it's death and divorce. All those 5 Ds makes
Yeah.
people do something in their life to go find housing, and we should be there in front of them. So those types of things help us realize that, hey, in 2023 and 2024, if rates go to 10%, they may want to edit that part, but hopefully they don't. People are still going to have life events, and life shows up and they move, and we want to be there in front of them for those life events. So we keep that mindset of those 5 Ds in life.
Yeah. I
That's
like
a
that.
killer line.
That is.
I am totally going to steal that.
Yeah.
I'll credit you for it later. Don't worry about
Thanks,
it.
man.
Yeah. But that's right. And right now, I think that's what's happening. Death, divorce, estate sales. That's kind of like what's out there right now, right?
And then we saw in going back to your question of last year, this year,
Mm-hmm.
the phone would just ring. I want to sell. I want to sell. I want to sell. It was really easy. I sold commercial real estate in 2006 and 7. I had to make 300 calls a week. I had to pound that phone. I was timed on those phone calls. It couldn't just call my mom and hang up, right?
Yeah.
So that taught me a real good skill set. So my point to this is a lot of people in this business for the last 5 years, the phone just rang. I went out to sell a house, or I found them a buy side, and life was easy. It's going to get harder and harder these coming years to be an agent, but it doesn't mean there's not opportunities, because as I just said with those 5 Ds,
Yeah.
plenty of opportunity out there.
Yeah.
What I love about this business, why I moved to resale, is everyone can be our client. Max just said everyone needs a place to live.
Yeah.
New construction, I'm in a model environment. Can't sell to everybody, but with this business, have lots of conversations every day. No, try to meet everybody you can, because they're potentially going to be a client.
How do you develop that community? It's, I think, real estate, more than almost any other type of sales, it's really relationship based.
I think one of the things that Melissa did in this business, because systems are really important, is to be able to touch your clients often throughout the year. Our mindset is clients for life. Real estate advisor, real estate wealth advisor. I don't want a transaction. I want them to call me for anything they need real estate related wise. So to keep that is we touch them often. We don't email them every day, but we have a 33 touch program where we are interacting with them, whether it's a calendar, or we have a pie event, or we have phone conversations, or we send them things that helps them understand the market, the home valuation. We drip on our clients often, so we are top of mind. And then when they think of real estate, or someone mentions real estate at the office or the water cooler, they're going to think of our group and make that phone call. Someone told me the other day, maybe a couple of weeks ago, we don't buy leads, it's just our mindset. Our 85% of our business is past clients, referrals, client referrals, sphere.
The best kind of business. Yeah.
Because they're pretty inexpensive. You just got to do a killer job, kill them with great service. The experience is good, so they'll refer. But we like talking to our clients, because not that we're saying, are you ready to buy or sell? But let's just touch base. A home just sold in your market. Some folks wind up buying lots of leads because it's easier to call people you don't know and get rejected than people you do know and get
That's
rejected.
true. That's very true.
So we just want to call people and hey, is there anything we can help you with? What are you guys doing this summer? What are you doing for the holidays? And the question always comes is, how's the market? Every time my wife and I go out to see a client, or we got to dinner with someone that is a client, we just look in the neighborhood, make sure we understand what's going on, because we want to be that advisor for them, because the topic always comes up.
Yeah.
People are house junkies. They love looking at values, love looking at what the biggest home ever sold for, or the neighborhood. So education is part of that, to always be on top and staying in touch with the clients and the sphere.
I think that makes sense. I think that, like the lifetime value of the client relationship is so much more than any one transaction. It's like keeping that front and center.
Absolutely.
Paramount.
Absolutely. So if we can go down another pathway here, it's been very difficult for buyers, as Max will attest. It's been a real challenge with the interest rate environment. But can you kind of give us your roadmap for buyers? How do you prepare them to go out and look at houses?
The most important thing I think in the very beginning is you bring them into your office as a face-to-face and do an hour consultation.
Yeah.
Understand everything that's important to them in that house. Tim, if you said to me, "Hey, Vince, can you come sell my house?" I'm going to drive over to your house. I'm going to assess. I'm going to tell you what to do, and I'm going to try to sell it. But too many of us just, you want to buy a house? What house do you want to see? 123 Main Street? I'll be there. I'll meet you there. And we just keep running through 40, 50 homes. I worked at the model level for a long time, and I'd have agents come in and with their clients, and they'd say, we're on like our 35th home. And I'm like, or we've been looking for 3 years. I'm like,
Wow.
you're missing something.
Yeah.
8, 10, 12 homes, you should kind of narrow it down. If Max and I were working together, I want to get into Max's brain and understand what he does and doesn't like, understand the FISBOs, understand new construction, understand subdivisions versus maybe a flag lot. So buyers, bring them in for an hour or however long it takes, understand what they're looking for, expectations, banking, lending. Once we get that knowledge down, then we're ready to go hit the pavement and look at homes.
Okay.
I think it's interesting because it's like as a buyer, with Zillow or Redfin or whatever, like we think in terms of filters. Like what filters do I have to put on my search in order to figure out where the house is? So that's how we're kind of almost expecting to be like interacted with. I can give you like my list of 5 things. Like I want 4 bedrooms, I want a yard, I want all these things, and I think getting that holistic perspective early and being able to kind of figure out where your buyer's missing information is going to save you a ton of headaches later. Because I think I was definitely guilty of being like, oh, I got this. I know all my filters.
Max, if I can put you on the spot, 'cause I'm
Sure.
glad you asked that question. Tell me those 5 things that are important to you. And
So,
you're on the computer, right? You're doing the filters, right?
yep. So right off the bat, I wanted to make sure we had 2.5 baths because I
How
shared
come?
bathrooms because my siblings were super messy growing up, and I was one of them, so I can't blame them.
How'd that make you feel?
I didn't like it. I was like, I need to make sure that because I'm definitely gonna have messy kids, and I want to make sure that I am not beholden to their cleanliness.
What was your worst experience? And I won't go on with this, but I want to create some pain to those filters
Yeah,
because a computer doesn't do that. So if I'm face to face, and this is part of new construction model home scripts, is I want to be able to understand the buyer so well that they say, Vince, help me. And a filter on the computer doesn't. So if I ask those
Yeah.
open-ended questions and twist the paint a little bit about, because everyone says, I need a 4-bedroom, 2.5 bath with a yard in a
yep,
subdivision. That's easy. Let's go do it. And we walk out and we go, but let's get a little bit deeper. Why am I working at the dining room? Why do I need an office? I'm working at the dining room table. How long have you been doing that for? And just
yep.
and twist the paint a little bit. And then we know this is the guy or this is the person that can help go
Yeah,
forward.
I mean that was a big deal for us. At one point, we were looking at like, I needed the 4th bedroom because we were thinking guest bedroom, kids, something in the future. Like, but I needed to make sure I had a designated office space. Like it had to be there because I'm, on calls or Zoom, probably 6 hours a day.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
Now, AI may change that in 15 years, but at least right now, a computer doesn't ask you questions that are deep and personal. So, buyer consultation, start heading out, setting great expectations. Mr. and Mrs. Buyer, we may not get the first house because there's 40 buyers to every home we have out there. And clearly, the price points as we drop down in price, there may be more buyers in that 3 to 500,000 price range versus maybe a million to $1.5 million.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
But we have to understand inspections. Do we have to go over asking price per square foot? All the things that when we're ready to make an offer, we may or may not get it, but there's strategies that we can do to help you be as competitive as possible. And there's a lot more detail to that, not so much for this podcast, but things that we can do, and we've gotten really good at that. I mean, we have 9 agents on the team. We have 3 admin staff. We share all of our ideas every week on a huddle call because we learn from that and we get better and better at doing it to be able to close those buyers. And again, expectations. It's emotional for them.
Yeah.
And sometimes it's too emotional and it's like next. And no, I really wanted that home. So we just try to understand what's important, the best strategies and terms at
Yeah.
their comfort level. So
Yeah.
How much education do you end up having to do? I think a lot of, what we realize in being just adjacent to my dad's business is like, some things people don't realize. You could be sitting there and be like, I want to buy a house, but you know what? I need a car. And like all of a sudden, halfway through the process, I've heard of people like getting a car loan and it messes up their entire like financial plan.
we've aligned ourselves with some great lenders
Mhm.
that will have that conversation with them. Albeit we know a lot of that stuff, we know they're going to run through that with them because this
Yeah.
happens. And we want to be able to have them do their lane, us take the house lane, and so forth and so on the buy side. And then also our office staff. We have an office staff that will guide them through, answer questions. Don't forget to change over the utilities. Just all these systems we have so that process can be smooth. Because they're thinking about a million things. They're working, they have kids, they have to pack, they have to do this, they have to do that, give up their lease, call the utilities. And we just want to make sure that we're always dripping on them through that process so
Mhm.
that come settlement time, the settlement sheet's ready, they know how much to bring, they've communicated with the lender, and settlement day is there.
Yeah.
What's the biggest surprise people run into that people are constantly shocked about?
Um, Maybe I'll go more generic. Every transaction has a hurdle. Because again, if this was easy,
Yeah.
everyone would be lining up to do it. So sometimes it's negotiations of the deal. Sometimes it's the inspection. Sometimes at settlement day, the seller hasn't cleaned out the garage yet. We got to problem solve. Melissa says all the time, we're problem solvers.
Yeah.
Fortunately, we're not heart surgeons where we may have someone leave us on the table. We are bridging gaps with problems that can be solved with an agent, a buyer, and a seller. We come together and do that. So it varies, Max. And I've had some weird things happen, but we get through them and we move on, and the transaction is complete.
All right.
Cool. I like that. You got the tools on the table to solve the problem
Yeah. Problem solvers.
and people in the room.
Every day, nothing surprises us, and you learn every day about something new. I'm doing this 16 years, going on 17. Melissa's 20. Our team, really prides ourselves on a 10-plus year experience on the agents because, and then Tim, you've seen things grow over the photography business, but
Sure.
it's just you learn every day. Like, oh, I never had that before. I think you've seen everything. We'll never see everything. Kind of keep learning, kind of keep growing from it.
Yeah. So I'm going to ask you to switch hats right now. I so enjoy working with your group because it feels like we go to battle together. We plan up, we schedule up. You guys are making preparations, you're staging, and then we get together on a day. We do this photo shoot like we did yesterday, right?
Yep.
And it's fun. It can be fun. We get the owners involved with it. We get them excited. It's like going to battle, and except no one gets hurt.
Hopefully not.
But can you kind of tell us the process or your pathways to get your seller ready to go, put the house on the market?
I'm glad you said switch hats because in our world, and this isn't for everybody, but I think you have to. The single agent model works with sellers and works with buyers, and they run a great career and life is good.
Yeah,
In our team, we've tried to stay in a lane where I primarily do most of the listings, and some agents do mostly only the buy side because you have to have kind of a different hat and a different maybe skin thickness level.
right.
I might go into your house, Tim, and say, hey, and then this is my mindset going in. And you saw it when we were taking pictures. I was like, that's going in the garage. That's got. They may have bought that from their aunt, and it's the heirloom of the world to them, but not for the pictures. From this day forward, when you sign with us, this home will be to appeal to the masses, not for
Yeah,
you anymore. So
yeah.
you have to kind of get into that mindset. Is all right. It's not your home anymore.
But you got to be
Personal
careful.
pictures,
You have to be careful, right?
right?
That's the thin line, right?
Well, one of our buyers agents always said this. It's fun. You find them home, they settle, they get something out of it. Sellers, they're leaving their life. They're packing their whole world up and going somewhere else. Now they're going to buy something potentially too, but it's hard for a seller. But we try to give them, and we have a little kind of game board that we've used for years and a step-by-step process to say all the things that are going to happen through the selling process. But we think again, excellence comes with preparation. And I'm borrowing that line from someone, so I didn't make that up. But
I'm writing that down. Go ahead.
yeah,
Keep going.
exactly.
You miss 100% of the shots you don't take.
Yeah,
Michael Scott,
exactly.
Wayne Gretzky. Yeah.
We borrow everything, right?
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
to us, a listing has to be. There's one shot to make a first impression. That's why We use Bright House to have great pictures. We have a stager. And then we also say we have to be going into that saying, clean this out, declutter. We're going to have to take that paper down. We're never going to do a major renovation, but one of the little things right. Because everyone says your listings look great. I'm like, well, they don't start out that way.
Yeah.
There wasn't an accident.
Right.
Yeah.
And I've learned that a lot from Melissa and just talking and seeing what she sees to get a great home ready for sale. And Tim, we're sometimes with you, moving things out of the way,
Yeah.
getting things going. So that's all into it, is making the home look great, great photography, and then the marketing piece comes after that. But that's probably the start of that process, to make the home shine.
I mean, that was like a killer thing for me during the process. It's like you got to see this place for half an hour, and you needed to figure out how to kind of like, like project your life into somebody else's home, and that was really challenging.
Yeah.
Well, Max, if you saw, all the graduation pictures of the kids and different things about that person's life, that emotional response won't be resonated to you. You're going to think of those people. I want a home to be model-like, generic,
Right.
Mhm.
so that you can see yourself in there. And that's the conversations we have with sellers. And it's not always easy. Some
Right.
get it. And it's everything in between. So,
Yeah. I
Yeah.
say it a lot, I said it today, I think, your home becomes a commodity. It is a product like anything you buy on Amazon, except, it's better. It's nicer, but I mean, it is in effect an internet sale at that point.
yeah.
Yeah.
And I think as you do it again and again and again, you get better scripts to give those people an understanding. Because especially if they're going to buy something, if they've already looked at homes, they get it. So it makes the selling part a lot easier. If I haven't
Yeah.
bought a home yet, I'm not going to move this. Wait, let's look at a few homes and you'll get it. And Max, this is great that you just bought a home, because you probably saw some homes you're like, no way.
Oh
Or
yeah,
I didn't feel it.
blew my mind what people would invite you into.
Yeah. Yeah.
So if that answers your question, that's kind of I think the foundation to every listing. And then we really earn our money from contract to close, right? Keeping it together, systems and checkpoints for contract dates, inspections, title commitment, mortgage commitment date, getting the utility switched over. Is there HOA docs, homeowner association docs? There's a bunch of steps. And over the years, we have, really fine tuned that. So it's a level of checkpoints,
Okay.
and that way that process can be as easy as possible for the seller,
Yep.
and to get to their next chapter in their life. And that's what we're here for.
Yeah, I think like that's saying the name of the podcast, like 3 days to close. Like they closed us in 3 days. We knew we wanted the house when we got this, right?
Hmm.
But like in order to actually get to close is a whole different process that you all have to manage, and people's expectations for are all over the place.
Right.
You know, every team or every agent, 'cause I don't want to compare the two, but we've built this team for the main reason is that, Max, if you got a question, you're driving home and it's 3:30, and maybe I'm in an appointment. I want to be able for you to have three different people to call on team, so you get your question answered right now.
Yeah.
So if I'm on the cell, you're texting me, maybe you call my office, then you call, we have a kind of a bat phone, cell phone that people can call also. But we have different ways that people can reach us. So you get your question answered then and there, because you'll have more. And we just want to make sure you're getting through that process without waiting a day or two. Service is everything to us, because that's the business we're in, is service. So
Hmm.
Yeah,
Hmm.
the immediacy is like nothing else I've experienced. You need that answer right
it,
then.
you
Yeah.
live with it. It's
Yeah.
24/7 and 7 days a week. So, which I love. I love the business. And Tim, to your point, is it's fun. We're not selling cemetery plots. We're selling a new chapter in someone's
Yeah.
life, and you have to get up for that. It's great energy. I wish I did it
Yeah.
20 years ago. I got into business.
Yeah. It is fun. Hey, you're giving us some great stuff today. I really, really appreciate you being on, but I have a question for you. What is your superpower as a real estate agent? What is your superpower, Vince?
Superpower. I wish it was my golf game, but it's not. Um,
Been there.
Superpower.
Yeah. What elevates you above the rest?
I'm going to go back to something we just said. I think being humble and humility. If you keep grounded with this business,
Yeah.
everything else falls into place. You know, our broker, Keller Williams, I should say, is an open book business across the country. And I see agents that are doing teams doing 2,000 homes a year, 500 homes a year, 800 homes a year.
Wow.
And you think, wow, how are
Yeah.
they doing? Right? But then you realize we're doing all the same thing. Client experience, getting a person from A to B. So I think the superpower is, never let yourself get too far ahead of yourself.
Yeah.
Be humble, be grateful, never have commission breath and think, I want to sell a house.
Commission breath.
That's a
Yep.
good one too.
Uh, this is a numbers game in the sense that you're not going to meet a client and think, it's going to be an easy sale. It's patience, it's time. And you
Yeah.
learn that over the years. We've built this great, amazing team. And I think you start to get a little more confident in your ability. And sometimes people aren't ready right now. Okay, 2 years, fine, no big deal. But I think that going back to your great question is just being humble, have humility, think for the client. Don't use the word I, it's about we, because
Yeah.
I can't do this all myself, no way. So those are probably the things that keep that helps us get to the client experience.
That's good.
It's a we thing, not a me thing, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. I love that. Yep.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's good.
I like that. And just anybody you see that like has maintained themselves in sales for a while, it's like there's two things you got to remember. Like it's that old thing of this too shall pass, right?
Yeah.
So like you saw 2007 or 2006, 2007, like it passed.
Right.
But then so did the, COVID unicorn years of, 3.1% rates.
Yeah.
So kind of don't get too high, don't get too low. It makes sense to me. And then the other thing, and I stole this from my mom, but with sales, it's always tough because like you got to know when to be happy. So figuring out the right time to be like, all right, this is good stuff, and knowing that this is good for now, and maybe it'll be better later, but this is still good right now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Enjoy it while you can.
Max and Tim, I've been doing this now 17 years, and I said I wish I got into it 20 years prior. I can't see myself doing anything else, and I've realized that in my life. I'm like, I'm comfortable here, and I'm good here, and when you realize that in your life, then you enjoy doing what you do.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, that makes so much better in your life and your work-life balance when you realize that and you're comfortable in your skin, with the path you've chosen. It's great. It's great.
But we're grateful.
Yeah. If you want right now, can you share a little bit about maybe some current listings or something that's coming up, either opportunities or things you'd like to share with our audience?
Yeah, thanks for asking that question. Well, as Tim knew, we just shot a single family home in Doylestown in a great Carriage Hill community. Had the opportunity to sell that community new, and I work for NV Homes, so we still have some great clients wanting to sell or buy in there. 749, great home on the market today, single family, low maintenance, move-in ready. We have a home in Warminster on Kent Road, just came on the market. It's one of my teammates' listings, so the price I'm not 100% sure, but Kent Road, Warminster.
Okay.
And we're working on some new construction stuff in Doylestown. So the best way to get a hold of us is always just HealyConnection.com, Healy, HealyConnection.com. Our listings are always there. Everything and all the information to contact us is there as well. So it kind of giving you a little bit of flavor of what's coming up too. So
Super.